Anytime we have a thought, just notice, is that a pure thought? Is it a thought that helps me feel as if I am living in heaven right now? The energy of love, the energy of just unconditional, universal kindness and respect and goodwill, that energy of pure life force that we were connecting with in our opening meditation, that's the energy of the kingdom of heaven. We know how it feels. We know how it feels in our own hearts. It feels amazing. There's just like a sweetness, there's a simplicity, there's an openness, there's a clarity. Of course, wisdom and discernment are present. We just naturally have this awareness. And so that's what it feels like to be in that energy of the kingdom of heaven. And then Swami Nityananda says, by our negative and selfish thoughts and desires, we create our own hell. So you can just notice, are my thoughts and desires creating a feeling of a traffic jam? So if I am resisting myself in some way, if I am obstructing myself in some way, I'm actually creating the feeling of a traffic jam in the flow of energy within me. And that will make it feel as if I am in hell. Nothing changing externally, same conditions, same circumstances. It's where are my thoughts and feelings, where are my desires, where are my choices? Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes to you all. And we are meditating today part of a new series. So we're launching a new series, and the title of the new series is Heaven on Earth. So that is a title that comes from Swami Nityananda. I'll share the quotation in just a second. And then today, the next part of the title is No Traffic Jams. So Swami Nityananda once said, wouldn't that be heaven on earth? No traffic jams. And he said it just in passing. And I loved it. It made me burst out laughing. And then it also made me go back to some of his teachings and just look at what is his definition of heaven on earth. And so that's what we're dedicating ourselves to, is to come up with not only Swami Nityananda's definition of heaven on earth, but our own definition of heaven on earth, and then to live as if we are already in heaven while we are still here with this human body, this human heart, this human mind, this human life. So a couple of things that Swami Nityananda says. And the opening teachings that I'm sharing are from his magnificent book, The Yoga of the Lord's Prayer. So I know that many of us have that book, but he has some magnificent teachings about heaven on earth in that book. So I'm about to share some of those. He says this, by our pure thoughts and acts, we create our personal heaven each moment. Even as by our negative and selfish thoughts and desires, we create our own hell. And so just tune into that for a second. He's basically saying, and we're inviting ourselves to live this, if I am choosing pure thoughts and acts, I am living in the energy of heaven right here and right now. And then he also says, if I am choosing negative and selfish thoughts and desires, I'm living in the energy of hell right here and right now. And so notice the pivotal focal point right there is, where are my thoughts? Where are my feelings? Where are my actions? Am I choosing thoughts and feelings and actions that are pure? And if so, then a natural byproduct of that is that I am unfolding that energy of living in heaven right here, right now. And nothing else has to change. Nothing outside of me has to be different. This is by my own purity of thoughts, by my own purity of choices, by my actions, I can allow heaven to unfold within me right now. And so I'm going to have some scriptures and some stories to help us with this, but for ourselves right now, anytime we have a question, so anytime we have a thought, just notice, is that a pure thought? Is it a thought that helps me feel as if I am living in heaven right now? The energy of love, the energy of just unconditional, universal kindness and respect and goodwill, that energy of pure life force that we were connecting with in our opening meditation, that's the energy of the kingdom of heaven. We know how it feels. We know how it feels in our own hearts. It feels amazing. There's just like a sweetness, there's a simplicity, there's an openness, there's a clarity. Of course, wisdom and discernment are present. We just naturally have this awareness. And so that's what it feels like to be in that energy of the kingdom of heaven. And then Swami Nityananda says, by our negative and selfish thoughts and desires, we create our own hell. So you can just notice, are my thoughts and desires creating a feeling of a traffic jam. So if I am resisting myself in some way, if I am obstructing myself in some way, I'm actually creating the feeling of a traffic jam in the flow of energy within me. And that will make it feel as if I am in hell. Nothing changing externally. Same conditions, same circumstances. It's where are my thoughts and feelings? Where are my desires? Where are my choices? If you ever have a question, just ask. Ask the divine to think pure thoughts through you. Ask the divine to make pure choices through you. Ask the divine to take pure action through you. Ask the divine to have pure desire through you. And if you ever have a question, just ask the divine, this is my perception, please fulfill what is optimal to fulfill. And then you're in that energy of just allowing that pure heaven energy to flow. So I think I'll share with you a little video clip that I saw this week. It was a video of a tiny puppy, just like a really cute puppy, and I think it had like a spot over its eye or something, so it was like extra cuteness points for this puppy. And this puppy in the film was hiccuping, but it didn't understand that the hiccups were coming from inside of itself. And so it was growling and barking at its own hiccups. And so this is self-reactivity. Like the hiccup is coming from inside of me, but I'm growling and barking at myself. And so it just made me laugh, but it also just invites reflection with good humor and love and respect for yourself. Is there any way in which I am growling and barking at the hiccup that is coming from inside myself? So there might be just some natural, like that was a natural biological thing that that little puppy was experiencing, but the puppy was interpreting it with like frustration. And so am I responding to my own natural biological experience with frustration? Can I let go of any self-reactivity or self-judgment? And can I love myself through whatever the natural biological process is that my body is experiencing right now? And it's actually the same thing if there's like an emotional hiccup or there's like a hiccup in your thoughts. Am I reacting by growling and barking at myself? Or can I simply love myself through whatever this emotional feeling is right now? Deeper than any human emotion we have is this energy of unconditional light and pure love. It is eternal, it is immortal. We are eternal and immortal. We are inexhaustible. And so if we're simply able to be with whatever the feeling is that we are moving through, or be with whatever the thoughts are that we are moving through, be with whatever the hiccup is that we are moving through, it allows the energy of love and healing to be with us. And so it's deeply nurturing and supportive for ourselves to let go of barking and growling at our own hiccups. And I'll also just say, so I framed that in terms of loving ourselves so much that we let go of self-reactivity. But in some ways, even if I think that I'm reacting to another person or another situation outside of myself, that's also an indicator I'm allowing self-reactivity to be here. Because the truth is that if I am centered within myself, and I see behavior from someone else that could make me react, if I am truly centered within myself, I will choose lovingly not to react. I'll keep the wisdom, I'll keep the discernment, but I also will let go of any reaction. And I have a story about Swami Yogananda Paramahansa, which relates to that. And you'll love this story. I think you've heard it before. I've come across it in a couple of different forms. But in the story, he is on a public conveyance. Like one of the stories said it was on a train. Another way that the story was told to me, he was on a plane. But he's on like this vehicle, and there are other people like in that train carriage or on that plane cabin who are hearing him have a conversation. And he's a Swami, so he's sort of like noticeably different from the other humans who are on this transport. And someone starts to yell at him because he's a Swami, and someone says to him, "You will go to hell." And Yogananda smiles, and he says, "I may or may not go to hell, sir, but you, sir, are in hell already." And the way that the story was told to me, applause broke out like on the train, in the plane. And so notice, like, that's the poise. Like, you have clarity within yourself. You are established in that energy of heaven on earth. And so you can see, like, that person who's yelling, that person who is expressing judgment and condemnation and excoriation, they're miserable, or they would not be directing at you. And so you can lovingly, with clarity and discernment and good humor, have that awareness, but simply decline to receive that gift. I mean, that's what Yogananda did. He declined to receive that gift, and he lovingly, with divine love, offered it back to the sender. And it's the truth. I mean, what he said was just true. And so for yourself, in your own life, if in your own personal life, family or friends, or in a larger arena that you are aware of, if you see someone who is hurling judgment or who is hurling condemnation or invective, the way that person hurled that at Yogananda, remain in your calm, quiet, loving center. Keep the clarity, keep the discernment. You can choose to be in the energy of the kingdom of heaven in the midst of that. That's what Yogananda did. And Yogananda also, with a lot of wisdom and skill and courage and humor, was able to observe that person is actually already living in the energy of hell. And so notice what happens then. Then there is compassion. There is understanding. There's a letting go of blame. There's a letting go of judgment. And then what happens also is, like, I would say, I'm adding commentary here, but Yogananda's light triumphed. And he just showed the steadiness of being a yogi, no matter what the outer circumstances are, no matter what other humans around you are doing, you get to be a yogi, whatever it is that is happening in time and space. And so these teachings from Swami Nityananda make clear each of us has the ability to live in the kingdom of heaven right here and right now. Each of us has this ability to live in heaven on earth. He says, heaven is the inner state of pure consciousness. Love and joy, peace, freedom, spiritual perfection are innate divinity. And so every time I choose love and joy, peace, freedom, spiritual perfection, every time I open and allow those innate divine qualities within me, I'm actually living in the energy of heaven on earth. And so clearly this is a choice that individually we can make, but we also can make it together. So every time we choose, like, the love and the joy, the cooperation and harmony of working together in karma yoga, we're unfolding heaven on earth. And so we bless ourselves as we step forward in karma yoga, but those blessings also radiate out beyond us as well.
Hi, my name is Porna, and I'm a part of the Awake Yoga Meditation community. If you like this content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing, and also consider subscribing to our Substack. You can find the link in our description below. Also, you can find us on awakeyogameditation.org for more information.
Again, this is another teaching from Swami Shankarananda from the Yoga of the Lord's Prayer, his beautiful book. In self-realization, pure God consciousness, God's will always is manifesting because there is no ego consciousness present to ignore, resist, or deny it. Truly, heaven is the state of harmony, of union, of blissfulness. God's will is very obvious when we are in a state of harmony. When you have harmony, you have no resistance to God's will, for you are fully cognizant of the fact that the state of harmony is God's will. And so just notice, I mean, these teachings, we could work with them in so many different ways, but anywhere within myself that I have been aware of resistance, offer it to the light within me and ask the light within me to transform it into harmony. And so then live so fully in that energy of harmony that resistance just melts away. And there's only divine will. There's only divine love. And you can also feel there's an automatic, spontaneous way in which support unfolds from deep within ourselves, and support rushes to assist us from the whole universe in ways that we cannot even imagine or anticipate in advance. Another way of putting this is, if I choose to stay in the flow of service, I'm also automatically going to be in the flow of love. I'm going to be in the flow of healing. I'm going to be in the flow of abundance. I'm going to be in the flow of connection. I'm going to be in the flow of caring. I'm going to be in the flow of kindness and support and everything that I love. It just happens automatically from choosing to be in that flow of being of service. So Swami Nityananda also says this, and this is from a talk that he gave. All the things of this world, love them, appreciate them. That's how you overcome attachment. Your life and happiness, well-being and freedom do not depend on them. Your happiness and freedom does not depend on anything else. It depends on discovering the pearl of great price within yourself. The pearl of great price, the self that you are. And so the pearl of great price, it's right here. It's within each of us always. And I have a couple of teachings. You will remember the story that Jesus tells, the parable of the pearl of great price. And this is from Matthew 13. And Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. And so the kingdom of heaven, it's you. It's your own self. And if I were just to ask you, where is that pearl of great price? Like, where would you point to? And where else is the pearl of great price? Okay, perfect. So a lot of people are pointing to the heart. And then, yes, another person pointed to the spiritual eye. Perfect. And then to one another's hearts. Yes, exactly. So the pearl of great price, it's with you, it's within you, and then it's also all around you. It's among you. So as soon as you have the awareness that the pearl of great price is right here, then you'll see it everywhere. So I have a story which is shared by Howard Thurman, and I'm going to share that story. It's a true story, and it's a story that makes me cry. So if I cry, full love and respect. And if you ever see me cry, it's just because divine love is so much bigger than the human body. So it's a very natural response when feeling divine love that there are tears. So this is a story about an 8-year-old boy and his 6-year-old sister. And the 8-year-old boy had had a rare disease, and he had a rare blood type. And his sister, who was 6, now had the same rare disease and the same rare blood type. And she was very near death. Her situation was extremely serious. And the doctor asked this little 8-year-old boy, would you like to give your blood for your sister? And the little boy paused, and his lip trembled a little. And then he said, sure, I'll give my blood for my sister. And the doctor didn't think anything about it, because the doctor knew even adults can sometimes pause a little. Their lip can tremble a little if they think about giving blood. And so the transfusion was proceeding. The 8-year-old was donating his blood, and the blood was being transferred to the 6-year-old, and you could feel and see the life force energy flowing into her. And the little 8-year-old boy was just smiling at his sister as this happened. And then the little 8-year-old boy said to the doctor, "Doctor, when do I die?" And he hadn't known that he was only giving his blood, that he was not giving his life. He had had a moment of pause, a brief lip tremble, and then he had said, "Sure, I'll give my blood for my sister." And when he was hooked up to give his blood, he just smiled at his sister. That was the only thing. He just smiled. Just that natural, pure smile was the only thing that shared through him. And so if you think about it, this is that total purity of heart, that total purity of love that is being described in the parable, the pearl of great price. That is the true self of each of us. There's another point where Jesus in his teaching says, be like a child. And this is the way in which being like a child allows us to enter the kingdom of heaven. Live in the flow of that love. Live in the flow of that generosity. Live in the flow of that trust. Live in the flow of sharing what is most precious. And what is most precious, if you go back again to what we've been meditating on, what is most precious in each of us is that pure life energy, that pure love, that pure connectedness that we have naturally. Like in this case, it was a biological sister. From my perspective, from the perspective of the yogic teachings, every human on the planet is also my sister. It's also my brother, also my sibling, also my kin. And so for each of us, if we truly live in that overflow of love, sure, I'll give my blood for my sister. This really does become heaven on earth. And this is thought by thought, the thoughts that I think, inviting the divine to think through me what is most pure, what is most beautiful, what is most precious, word by word, inviting the divine to speak through me what is most beautiful, pure, and precious, choice by choice, inviting the divine to choose through me what is most beautiful, pure, and precious. I have another teaching. This is a yogic scripture. This is from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. A bunch of amazing stories about Krishna and a bunch of amazing stories about Narada. And I love Krishna and I love Narada. So it's a really wonderful scripture. And what this teaching says is this: anyone can obtain a piece of glass and sometimes a piece of gold, but not everyone can obtain a wish-fulfilling jewel because it is most rare. Similarly, the pleasures of heaven and liberation are easily achieved, but supreme devotion, pure love, is extremely rare. And so what this particular teaching is saying is even more perfect than heaven is the energy of pure love and pure devotion in your own heart. Even more important than liberation is being here to be of service. And so in this way, there's no selfishness. The only thing that we want is to be fully here and to open and to notice what in me is the pearl of great price, what in me is most precious, what in me is most beautiful, what in me is the most kind gift that I can allow to share through me. And so in that way, what we're doing is we're emulating the generosity of spirit of that 8-year-old. And then we're also emulating, like you could use your own words to describe what Yogananda demonstrated, but he had a sword of discernment. Keep your sword of discernment. The sword of discernment let him just let go of the ignorance, let go of the judgment, let go of the negativity that was directed at him. And he just used the sword of discernment to lovingly let it go and to let it go back to the light. He stayed in his center. And so just notice right now, how does it feel to connect with the pearl of great price in the center of my being? How does it feel to connect with the wish-fulfilling jewel in the center of my being? It's your own heart. It's with you always. And in the heart of each of us is all the love in the universe. Also, all the wisdom in the universe, all the understanding, all the courage, all the good humor, all the compassion, all the ability to find wholeness and forgiveness and freedom and joy and gladness. And this truly allows us to be in embodiment, the energy of heaven on earth. Thank God, and God bless us all.